Hello, hello. We are on air. This is the night we're going to be talking about some movie that came out this weekend that you guys might be waiting for. And I'm not alone. I got a couple guests with me, and these guys, they know a little bit about comic books. They got one of the best channels on YouTube right now. I'd like to welcome my guests. Hello, Tom and Jeff.
Yo, yo.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always fun to chill with my brother, Bueller, over in Oregon. And thanks for making it, Jeff, because I was with this guy watching Endgame the whole time. And we had a moment, man.
My eyes got a little glistening and I did shed a few tears, and I looked over and Tom was feeling the same. So it was
an emotional day.
It was.
But we're not talking about that yet, because Bueller said we're not doing any spoilers for at least a little bit. So if you're joining us right now, it's going to be safe for a little bit.
Well, if the spoiler is that I'm sensitive sometimes, then yes.
Jeff, you are a sensitive person, are you? Bueller's sensitive too. He's a sensitive gentleman.
I'm very sensitive. Were you guys crying in each other's popcorn? Was that happening?
Popcorn, yeah.
You actually didn't have popcorn because you had just came back from the gym.
I did.
And we went to the 9:30 matinee. So when I got to the theater, I didn't want popcorn. My options were hot dogs, a cheeseburger, which I was thinking about getting a cheeseburger. And then I found out that this particular theater has chicken and waffles. I asked the person, yo, I don't want chicken because it's 9:30 in the morning. Could you give me a waffle? He said, I'll do it for free. So I was eating a waffle that was infused with maple syrup all throughout Endgame. I got to say, it improved my experience.
Hey, that's awesome. I saw it twice. I've seen it twice already. And I was by myself. I didn't cry. I really enjoyed the movie. And basically how this is going to go, we are going to break down the first half of this live stream. We're going to talk about our feelings about the movie and our thoughts and what we were expecting before we saw the movie. And then when we get to the second half of the live stream, we're going to spoil the hell out of it. We're just going to jump right in. We're going to talk about everything that happened. But if you don't want any spoilers, you are good to go for a while. And then when we get to the spoilers, I will let everybody know that we are switching over to spoilers. And we're going to spill the beans, man, because everybody kind of knows what's going on right now. There's tons of spoilers out there on YouTube and on the internet, and people are seeing this movie left and right. It's going to be the biggest movie we've ever seen, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to hear what your guys' initial thoughts. So let me just get your initial quick answer thoughts about the movie.
I want to know, everybody in the chat too, what your initial thoughts were prior to seeing the movie, if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, yeah, this is a perfect time for you to share your initial thoughts. Just be mindful, because we tried to do our premiere yesterday, and oh my goodness, the spoilers, people. Oh my goodness, it was a ruckus. I had to call him back up. I made you a wrench. I made Caleb, shout out to the Smurf. And I texted you, Bueller. I'm like, Bueller, I need you on deck, brother. It ain't working. But I would love to hear everyone else's thoughts. And yeah, what I need to think about mine for a second. What was your you answer your side first.
What my expectations were?
Yeah, what were your expectations prior to this?
My expectations for it were an epic battle, okay, and to see all the heroes back.
Mm-hmm.
And then my huge expectation was to see Captain Marvel and Thanos battle.
Right.
I can't say what didn't happen because I don't want to give any spoilers yet. But those were my expectations.
Sure.
Mega battle, everybody return, okay, and maybe lose 1 or 2 or 3 potential heroes in this thing.
Sure. Okay. So big battle, return of the heroes, and some people probably going to die. Not going to make it. Yeah. Same thing. How far do you want to get into this, Bueller? Because I can talk for a long time about what I thought was going to happen.
Well, let me jump into mine real quick, because I know you have a lot of stuff. So my expectations for the movie before I saw it, I obviously expected we're going to lose some characters. I expected a death of 2 to 3 characters. That did happen. We'll get into who didn't make it at the end of this. I expected a rematch of the Hulk versus Thanos, a little bit better, a longer one that we can see, because obviously in the first Infinity Wars movie, the experience we had with the Hulk was literally just about 30 seconds to a minute long, and I was hoping to see a rematch with them. And I was also expecting introduction of new characters into the Marvel movie universe, not necessarily from the Fox merger, but just characters that they already had the license to. So those were my expectations I was looking for before I went into the movie.
Okay, so if we were to break it down to like the 5 biggest things, that's what it sounds like. So my biggest expectations, I was Soul Gem. I was really banking on the Soul Gem. I thought that we were going to see something with the Soul Gem because it's something that was going to tie to other parts of. Here, you go grab a towel for that real quick.
Jeff with the party foul.
The party foul, just a little bit. It's okay. Here, go grab a towel. Help you get that, and I'll keep it going. It's okay. Expectations for the movie. Okay, so Soul Gem. I was convinced that something would happen with the Soul Gem. That they were going to bring in something to connect to Adam Warlock. I was expecting Adam Warlock to come into this movie the entire time.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that Adam Warlock would be part of this movie, and I thought that the Soul Gem would take place, and that's where the heroes would be. And I'm realizing now that us even talking about expectations is also a spoiler in itself. I don't know when to stop.
It's tough, man. It's tough. So
I think honestly, Bueller, I think we should just say there's gonna be spoilers. I think that at this point, it's just we're gonna piss people off.
Yeah.
Well, how about we give a couple more minutes and we'll jump into it because there's a couple other things I want to get, and then we'll just jump in it from there. How about that?
All right, you do it, man.
Okay, so let's talk about what we knew before we went to the movie, before we saw what we knew was going to happen. We obviously knew that Spider-Man and Nick Fury were going to make it back and they were going to live, just for the simple fact that they're in the trailer for the new Spider-Man movie that comes out in July. Obviously, that movie takes place after this movie, so those guys make it. We see that, and we can also bank on the fact that, you know, they've already scheduled another Doctor Strange movie. They've already scheduled another Black Panther movie. There's also another Guardians of the Galaxy movie that's going to come out now that they've figured all that stuff out with James Gunn. So all those characters, for the most part, we already knew were going to come back some way or another. And those are what I knew. Was there anything that you knew ahead of time going in?
The Rescue would make an appearance. That we were going to see Gwyneth Paltrow actually wear the suit at some point. I mean, we've been seeing the armor for like a year and a half. I think it was maybe not a year and a half, about a year, 10 months, 10 months or so. They showed pictures of that, and they mentioned multiple times over this last year that Gwyneth Paltrow wouldn't be doing any more MCU films. So that right there had me speculating a lot. But yeah, we knew Rescue was coming. We didn't know to what extent. We also knew that the heroes would be brought back in some capacity because of what you just said, all these different heroes that have other franchises that are coming out, but we didn't know how. And the speculation, there was a lot of things that were speculated on in this last year that didn't happen in this movie. So it's a lot of surprises.
Yeah, it did. And the celebrities too seemed like they threw you curves.
They didn't know.
Interviews too.
They straight up couldn't have known some of the things.
I don't know. I can't imagine that some celebrities are some of that stuff. And then, but I was also, we did also know that a bigger roles would be played by Ant-Man and Hawkeye.
Yes.
So that was good to see that kind of come through to an extent. And then obviously Ronan showing up.
Yeah, we knew Ronan was going to be a big. That's the main character they showed in the commercials. But what's interesting is that this isn't a spoiler. That the commercials for any of the trailers of this movie, they only show like maybe parts of the first 15 minutes of the movie, 20 minutes of the movie. The rest of the movie, if you've watched trailers, it's going to be a completely fresh movie for you. There's no spoiler scenes. There's nothing. You're going to watch it and legit be like, I don't know what to expect. Like you're going to be excited every second.
I like the fact that they did that. It was nice to see to where they just cut those initial trailer, and when you see the movie, you realize, it's literally just the first 15 minutes of the movie for the most part that you see in that trailer. So you're going in there for a 3-hour plus movie, and you only have the first clippets of stuff that's going on. One of the things you mentioned, we had Ronan. We knew that, because he was featured in there, and obviously the history in the comic books and stuff like that. So we knew that going in. We obviously knew that it would be focused more on the main Avengers from the original movie, the main characters: Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and stuff like that, because all the other guys were missing. So we knew that ahead of time going in. But a couple things I want to jump into as well, which is kind of nice because this kind of ties into the whole Ronan thing. But we're talking about speculation. And obviously we're in the comic books. There's a bunch of comics behind me. There's a bunch of comics behind you. And there was a bunch of speculations books that people were specking on about the movie. I'm going to run down just a few. And then as we get into the spoilers, we'll tell you if those came true. So a few of the ones that were in there was Incredible Hulk number 377, the first appearance of Professor Hulk. There was a lot of news about that and about that character possibly making an appearance. We also have Avengers number 12, where someone else holds the Infinity Gauntlet. That's a big one. The Thor 390 was someone else holds Thanos or holds the hammer. And I'm not actually telling who holds it. We'll get there later. New Avengers 27. That's the first appearance of Ronan. And then Captain America number 25, which is a new Captain America. All those books were ones that were being spec'd on before we went and saw the movie. Is there any other books that you guys can think of?
Yeah, First Rescue. That was a book that was aggressive over this last year. It actually took a big dip. Iron Spider was a consistent book for like the last since Civil War, and that was actually an interesting book to see retain value, because that book they debuted the costume, and then going forward, that book stayed strong, and they didn't even utilize the costume all that much in Civil War. So that was one that people thought, hey, maybe we're gonna see Iron Spider again. Spider-Man was part of the snap, so if he gets brought back, he'll probably be in that same suit, right? So that was a book that was maintained value, and people were still specking on, people buying in troves. I'm trying to think of other ones here. Young Avengers. Young Avengers has been a very strong title for like the last 5 months because of what you just said. All these A-list actors and celebrities that their contracts are coming down to a close, or rumored to be coming down to a close, or if not 1 or 2 more movies left. So, who's going to take, reprise these roles? And Young Avengers has been one that has been seeing steep climbs over this last 6 months in particular. And that's the Kate Bishop. We're talking about pretty much all the kids of a lot of the superheroes and the major superheroes that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in too, because I'm not as familiar with the more modern stuff, but for more of the older Silver Age and Bronze Age keys, I'm excited to see, and not really excited, interested to see what happens with Avengers 55 now.
Right.
Just seeing now that we've lost some characters, what's going to happen with some of these books, long-term sustainability, but also you're going to see, like, I'm assuming Avengers, was it 57 with the first appearance of Hawkeye, I think is going to be still a solid book. A lot of these books are still going to continue in the Silver Age.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Even with Black Widow's passing, there's still talk of a potential, or Black Widow and then potential movie, whatnot. I mean, I just see a lot of these Silver Age books still continuing to stay strong, but I do question that Avengers or the Iron Man 55 was going to happen there.
Right. I mean, the Iron Man 55 has had a steep climb for 7 years, 6 years, really. And that book is still a very strong book. Well, I'm excited to see what happens.
That's a very nice book. So let me ask you guys this. So did the movie live up to your expectations? Did it exceed it or anything like that, without giving away any spoilers? Because we are jumping into that next.
It's so hard not to give away any spoilers. I'll be honest with you, because I think for me, I'm coming into a movie that has high expectations, and I'm expecting them to wrap it up. Okay. But like, it's so hard to imagine how they're going to do that. Yet I went through it. I watched this movie and I loved it. Loved it. I thought they crushed it. Obviously, there's going to be things that some people can complain about here and there, but to wrap up 21 films into a 22nd, the way they did, for me, I'm over the moon excited about what I got to see.
Absolutely. This was my favorite MCU film. Yeah, all time. Favorite MCU. It's not my favorite superhero movie, but definitely my favorite Marvel movie that's been produced. I think as far as quality goes and what they delivered, I had more fun and felt more invested in this movie than Infinity War. So,
well, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. As far as my expectations go, it missed the mark on a few of them. I actually enjoyed Infinity Wars a little bit better, but I thought they were both fantastic. And I want to say thank you to Bill for Economics and Comics. He just gave a super chat, and he did a great review on the Avengers Endgame. He actually had the very first spoiler review on YouTube. It's now almost at 200,000 views, and this is a local community member in our community that does comic book stuff. He's a great guy. So Bill, thank you, and congratulations on going viral. That's awesome, my friend.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool to see. It's gives me hope. You know, we're not just doing this for nothing. You know, if you do it at the right time, maybe YouTube will let your videos be seen by other people. So
it gives
I was
us all
super
hope.
excited to see that. I was like, damn, dude, killing it.
Congrats, man.
Congrats.
Very cool. So here we go, folks. We're jumping in right now. This is spoiler time, letting everybody know.
I apologize too, Bueller. I'm going to just step out for a quick second. I have to use the restroom. But yeah, spoilers.
Okay. Tom he has to use the potty. it's normal. But we are jumping into spoilers right now. And just so everyone knows, if you haven't seen it, if you don't want to know spoilers, we are going to dive heavy in the spoilers. We talked about our expectations, what we were looking for. We'll compare what our expectations were to what actually happened. We'll cover the deaths that we had in the movie and some of the questions in the movie that didn't get answered, and also some of the things we didn't like about the movie, because there was a couple things I didn't like about it, and we'll get in those in a little bit. But let's first jump into the very first scene. And the very first scene was none other than the man that was out of the first Infinity Wars movie. We never saw him. It was Hawkeye. And that set the tone from the very beginning. What do you think about that first scene?
I thought that was a really powerful scene. It was great for them to start off right away with somebody we haven't seen who has no idea what's happening outside of his life. He doesn't get that what happened to all his friends. I mean, they just been snapped away. He has no idea. And there he is, like with his family, enjoying the life that he wanted and chose, yet the outside world is now affecting him again. Okay, so I thought that was an amazing scene with him there trying to teach his daughter how to shoot arrows, calling her Hawkeye. And
by the way, that's the first time the name Hawkeye was actually used in the MCU.
Yeah, I think they only used like Hawk once.
Yep.
So that was just great to see. And then all of a sudden, I mean, this sets the tone for the rest of the movie for me for what I thought the movie really pushed on was family.
Yeah.
Family and just the people you love in your life. And I think that was a consistent theme through this whole thing. And it was just right away, it started with his family.
I thought that the first part of the movie with this part and a few of the other ones, it was sad. You know, it was very emotional. You know, it kind of set a somber tone at the very beginning. This movie is actually like broken up into 3 parts. There's the beginning part. The mid part is kind of the more the jokey type thing when they're doing all the time travel and stuff. And then we have their ending, which is the battle and everything like that. But the next scene that we're looking at, we finally get to see what happens to Tony Stark, Iron Man, and Nebula, because they've been stuck out in space. And none other than somebody shows up and rescues them. And Tom, do you know who that was?
Yeah, it was Ms. Marvel. Captain Marvel. She's known as Captain Marvel.
So there was speculation that might be a rescue, but it was not.
Right.
And people spec'd on that. That didn't happen. We got Captain Marvel. She came and saved the day and brings Tony and Nebula back down. I guess they've been up there for almost a month. It was like
22 days, which happens to be the number of movies that came out in the MCU.
Oh, I bet you they did that on purpose.
Absolutely.
So they bring him down. She brings him down. He rescues them and stuff like that. Tony is obviously just emancipated, or not emancipated. Is that right? That's not right. But he's not looking. He's not looking good, man. The guy's tore up and stuff like that.
Emaciated, I think you're thinking.
Emaciated, you got it. I don't know words that well. But so anyway, they get down there, and Captain Marvel or Ms. Marvel, she wants to go get Thanos right now. Right now. They want to go get him. They don't know where he is. Nebula knows where he is. They're able to find Thanos. They want to go get him. They want to get the stones from him like that. And so they just get on the ship. They have rocket ship, and they go to where Thanos is at. They get there, and Thanos has done something with the stones. Anybody want to jump on that?
Take it away.
So Thanos, they find Thanos because of the surge through the universe. That's kind of how they ended up finding him. So they locate where that was. They travel to find him. Everyone's geared up, ramped up, excited. And they find out when they capture already a really depleted and hurt Thanos. I mean, he's weakened after that snap. And they sneak up, they capture it, and they find out of all this effort, their hope that they can bring their friends back, that he used another snap to destroy the stones. So now they're obviously crushed. But Thor, do you want to jump in? What does Thor end up doing?
Oh, Thor slices Thanos' head off.
Yeah, he doesn't miss the head this time.
No, he doesn't do it this time. And this was actually a really cool thing to have happen, because this happens within the first like half hour of the movie. Like one of the first scenes is them just taking out the big baddie and then going over, pushing this timeline like 5 years. And you see so much change in all of our characters.
So what do you think? Like when they cut his head off, okay, what do you guys think at that point when it just jumps ahead 5 years? Do you think now what's going to happen? You know, did that rethink your whole thoughts about the movie after that first scene right there where they kill Thanos?
Absolutely. As soon as that happened, I thought we're not getting the Soul Gem, we're not getting out of Morlock. And I was a little frustrated, to be honest. I was like, okay, because here's the thing. You get rid of the stones. How else do you take care of the stones? Time travel. That's the only answer. So it's like, okay, you screw with time or you go down the Soul Gem route. And I got to say, that's my least favorite part of this whole dang thing is that they used time travel to solve everybody's problems, not because it was like the best storytelling option, but because you got to have a reason to go through the MCU and talk about all the past films and just showcase all the brilliance of what the MCU has been for the last decade.
Yeah, that time travel is probably one of the most confusing parts for most people who watch this. But again, you're watching a superhero movie. There's going to be some suspension of belief in it.
Right.
But I got to tell you, it also helped the movie because it brought back scenes of what we all love the most of our entire journey.
Right. That's
some
true.
of the best scenes we got to see, and we got to see him in a different perspective. So not only do we get to see him, we got to see him from a different view that was really fun for me and really helped push the story. Granted, again, time travel, confusing. I get it.
Right.
Get past that. Enjoy the movie.
Right.
So we're now 5 years ahead in the future. A lot of this happened. A lot of people have gone their different ways. Tony Stark has decided that he doesn't want to have anything to do with what's going on. We have the other Captain Marvel. She's off in the universe doing stuff. Rocket, he's away. And we have the Black Widow. She's kind of running things at the Avengers headquarters. And Captain America has actually started a support group. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, is him sitting there at that support group. And the main reason why is because we have a cameo of actually two guys. But one guy in particular is Jim Starlin. And he was sitting there in the group, and he actually said some words. And if you're not familiar with who Jim Starlin is, he is the creator of Thanos. What do you guys think when you saw him in there? Because we're normally used to seeing Stan Lee, who we do see later on, but we get another comic book creator sitting there making a cameo.
It was about time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like a lot of these creators who had touched on the creation of these massive idols we enjoy in comics need to have cameos in some of these movies.
I mean, they booted him from the Thanos run a couple years ago. Like, just because these movies are doing so well and these you know, we get toys and stuff, it doesn't mean that this money goes to the creators' wallets. That's why we gotta lift them up. Go to conventions. Pay for their signatures, get sketches and support them in person. And it's really cool to see some effort on screen, even if it was just for a quick second. At least they give them some lines.
Really cool. So you can recognize them.
Absolutely.
I talked with Jim Starlin last year. I did an interview with him. And one of the things I asked him is, what would you recommend a new creator in the comic book industry? And the first thing he said was, hold on to your properties. Hold on to what you've made and created and stuff like that. Have the rights to it. Because you could tell he was a little bitter. Because obviously there's so much going on now with the Marvel and the universe and Thanos and you name it. Go down the line of all the stuff he's done. Sure. And he really doesn't see any revenue stream from that anymore, which is pretty sad, really.
Right, and he doesn't do a whole lot. He actually doesn't draw anymore. He doesn't do sketches. His hand doesn't work like it used to. Unfortunately, he's got pretty bad arthritis and stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So now more than ever, it's important to support him. Yeah.
Yeah, I really was happy about seeing him in there. I kind of took a double take and saw him. I was like, oh my God, that's because I don't know when they filmed that. I don't know if they filmed that after I talked to him or something like that or before. But, you know, he obviously never mentioned it to me or whatnot. But it was pretty cool. But moving on, we then now see the Ant-Man makes his appearance finally as well. He comes out of the quantum realm, if I'm not mistaken, because of a rat. A rat walks across the little thing,
like shredder or something, man.
Yeah, and
it turned the smart rat.
No, I gotta take that. I think it's not just a rat. I think that's supposed to be Disney's Mickey Mouse.
Something, dude.
That's their touch on it.
Yeah, or because like that's a really lucky thing to happen.
Yeah.
Convenience. And the MCU, my biggest complaint about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the same. I mean, it's just comic books, but it's a little bit worse in the MCU in particular. Is the word convenience? There's things that just happen to keep the storyline going. You just got to say, okay, a rat being the one, like really when it comes down to it, without that rat, this movie doesn't happen.
No, he's the hero.
He's the hero. So shout out to the MVP.
That's awesome. Yeah, the mouse wins again, so that's pretty cool. So we get Ant-Man back. He realizes that he's been gone for 5 years. He then makes his way to his old house. He reunites with his daughter. She's aged 5 years. And then he makes his way to the Avengers headquarters. And this is where the plan gets introduced for the going through time and retaking the stones before Thanos gets a hold of them. They run that idea between Captain America and Black Widow, and they decide to go get Tony Stark involved. Tony doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Again, he's moved on. He's now he has a child, like a little 4-year-old daughter. They're living out in the country somewhere, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So this is where we come into probably the first speculation book, because the second option that they choose is they go to the Hulk, who is now Professor Hulk, and we see him on screen. How do you guys feel about finally seeing Professor Hulk making his appearance?
I mean, I didn't really understand it first, but I quickly embraced it. I enjoyed seeing him. Like, I did miss the Savage Hulk that we used to have. I did. But he is such a tortured soul that I was actually happy to see him have some pleasure in his life, because he was comfortable in his skin and who he was at that point. So I was okay with seeing it. So for me, I didn't mind, and I was excited to see something different for Hulk.
Yeah, I think it was fun. My least favorite parts of this movie were that I feel like I was really excited to see a couple characters, specifically Hulk. I was really excited to see Thor, and I wanted to see those two characters kick ass, like hard. Like, I've been waiting for some crazy scenes. I want to see something crazy. And I think if you're a Hulk fan, or if you're just, you're kind of into the Hulk, seeing Professor Hulk, hearing the jokes, seeing him be friendly with kids and have these moments, it's going to be cool. So you're going to enjoy, they probably going to be like, it's cool. There's some good Hulk shots. Fortunately, with the time travel, we saw some Savage Hulk in this movie. Wasn't enough for me. I did not see enough Hulk. I didn't see Hulk fight Thanos the way I wanted him to. I wanted to see like crazy Hulk. All right. Immortal Hulk. That's what I wanted to see. Didn't get that. Thor, not a huge Thor fan, but I wanted to see some really, really kick-ass Thor. I think if you were a Thor fan, you'd be disappointed, personally. But I'm not a huge Thor fan, so I don't know. I can't speak for that.
Definitely between Thor and Hulk, go watch Thor Ragnarok, because you're going to get the action, the fight scenes with those. You don't get, let's just be honest, you don't get that in this movie. It lacked as far, especially for Hulk. You hardly got anything as far as any type of fight scenes with the Hulk. And I was really hoping to get that. And like you said, that's what you were looking for, Hulk and Thanos. We did not get that through the whole thing. And we'll get into that a little bit more. And then once they convinced Hulk what was going on, he decides to help them out to make this time machine, or whatever you want to call it. They struggle. It's not going too well. Tony has a change of heart, and he decides to rejoin the team because he's figured out a way to make it all work.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this, and it's like, I left this theater with so much. I mean, it's 3 hours long.
Yep.
And then I had to like decompress for like 2 days. Was he already working on trying to figure out the timeline situation? Because it seemed like he's like, I figured it out. Like, it does work. So like, was he working on this for 5 years? Because by the time that Black Widow shows up to be like, hey, Tony, we have an idea. Like, Professor Hulk can't do it. Like, can you figure it out? He's like, I can't do it. He made it sound like he was going to start then. I'm like, there may be an answer. But then when he actually figures it out, he's like, they provided me with just the right phrase that like clicked it. So it seemed like he was working on this for like 5 years. I don't know, little inconsistency.
Yeah, I looked at it as he wasn't sure it was going to work because he had doubt as he's talking about it. He's like, take this Mobius, whatever, invert it. From what I remember what he said. But now we're also integrating the Pym particle, which he didn't have that to work with.
Right. So
I think that's the thing that changed. And I think he freshly started. I mean, he's got this computer that can just ask him to do anything. I mean, make me Salisbury steak, whatever. I mean, like, for me, I looked at it and I was like, okay.
Is that what you would use the Jarvis for? You would be like, all right, hold up.
Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles.
No, that's how Salisbury I looked at it. For me, I was just like, okay, this computer does everything. We've already seen it make Vision, for crying out loud.
Which, by the way, like, they couldn't figure out a way to bring Vision back.
Nope.
They couldn't do that. No Vision in this movie.
Nope.
Come on, like, No Vision in this movie?
It's true.
No Vision in this movie?
If they can get Gandalf the White back in Lord of the Rings, we could have got the white version of Vision.
No Vision. No Vision in this movie.
Wait,
he wasn't even in this movie. I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie, but there was no Vision in this movie.
Tom didn't like that part.
Scarlet Witch was in this movie.
Yep.
Every other MCU character was in this movie.
Not everybody, because
Vision wasn't in this movie.
Well, the guy who does the sword for Asgard, what's his face? He wasn't in because he died not from the snap. He died before the snap, and so did Vision. Vision died before the snap.
True.
But Vision wasn't in this movie.
He wasn't in this movie.
Okay.
So Tony reunites with the Avengers. They come up with an idea. They prove that it works. So now they want to get the team back together. So they go to New Asgard, which is now located somewhere in the United States, I believe.
Yeah, that's a comic. There's a shout out to that comic because I'm forgetting the run of that, but I do know that it's the Dark Avengers that go to attack the New Asgard in the comics, which is how the whole Dark Avengers kind of came about. Like, that's why we were talking about that for this last year, is that we have these potential anti-hero / villain team, that maybe running amok.
Yeah.
I think they're in Oklahoma or something in the comics.
Yeah, I think it's something like that, or Iowa or something like that.
Yeah, it's some flat area.
So the Hulk and someone else, they go to get Thor, and Thor, he's suffering from PSD. That's the easiest way to think about it or whatnot. He's out of shape. He's overweight. He's just sitting there, and he feels really guilty about what happened. But they do convince him to come along with the team, to rejoin the team, to put the plan back together. So they all rejoin the team. They figure out everything works. They devise a plan. They figure out where the stones are, what years they have to go to get them. So they divide the team up into 3 separate teams to go get them to these different spots. There's a lot of stuff that happens to this, but I just want to jump on the main thing. One of the teams is the Black Widow and Hawkeye, and they go to get the Soul Stone. And of course, we have the Red Skull there as well.
How cool was that? I really enjoyed seeing Red Skull again.
I like it. I think that's a great character. I hope to see that character again in the Marvel Universe at a more prominent role. I think it's underused. With the first Captain America movie, it was great. They need to bring him back some other way. But we get pretty much the same scenario we had with Thanos and Gamora. They have to sacrifice one person, to gain the Soul Stone. And so it's between Hawkeye and Black Widow, and they both are willing to make the sacrifice, but both of them don't want the other one to do it. So a fight persists, and we get Hawkeye and Black Widow hanging off the cliff. And full spoilers right here, the very first death that we have, the Black Widow sacrifices herself, and she pushes herself off the cliff, and she falls to her death just like Gamora did in Infinity Wars. That's the big. I did not expect that. I was sit there and I did not expect that death going into this movie. She's not the one I thought would die. What were your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, she was the pillar that held everybody together for 5 years. So to see that happen, and with talks of a potential movie, like, I did not think Black Widow was going to be was going to go. So it was a great scene, like, Thanos and Gamora, that was not her choice, but this was like neither of them wanted the other to go. And that scene was just, I don't know, just fun, passionate, exciting. You don't know which way it's going to go. And then it went.
Yeah, it was a powerful scene. It was really cool. I really enjoyed that whole sequence. And I think it's worth mentioning that, at least within the MCU, I mean, her soul was traded. So once you don't have once your soul's gone, your afterlife is the situation. So you can't bring that character back. It's not going to happen. You have to barter your soul with death to have that happen in the comics. And we're not getting that rendition. Another thing that I expected, or at least was hoping, was some type of something to do with death. I thought that they would bring in not just like literal characters dying, but like literal the entity of death, because they kind of alluded to it early on in the MCU that fighting the Avengers would be dabbling with dancing with death, or whatever the phrase that they use. And yeah, unless they go full cosmic Starling goodness, we ain't getting Black Widow back. We're gonna probably see some type of
prequel.
prequel or alternate timeline, because in this now with this established new rule of time in the MCU, you have different realities. You don't have just one continuous timeline. You have alternate realities, which is why Gamora is going to be featured in Guardians, because she also traded her soul, right? Well, we have a different Gamora, which is why we're going to be getting her in future movies.
So this is where I was thrown with her death, because we have heard that she's getting her own movie, her own spin-off movie. Now, obviously, my thoughts are it's going to be a prequel. One of her adventures before she joined the Avengers and team like that, which would be great because she has such a big, backstory, and she has red in her ledger, as she quoted, and maybe we can get something pertaining to that. But I was not expecting her to pass away. And actually, I was surprised that those were the two people that they sent to go get the Soul Stone. I thought initially that this would probably be something with Captain America or Tony Stark or something like that, but they really had to have a relationship of people that, really cared for each other. And obviously these two characters did, because it wouldn't have worked if they didn't have that connection. But that was the big death. That was one of the major things that kind of set the tone from there. So pretty much what they're doing now, all these teams are trying to get the stones back. And there's a lot of kind of shenanigans that go on. And one of the bigger ones is Loki. And because we've all heard that Loki is also getting a TV series, I believe, on the Disney Plus network. So how do they bring Loki back into there? Because obviously he died in Infinity Wars. Well, he just so happens that the Tesseract or whatnot just falls by his feet, and he picks it up and he vanishes, and that's it. And that's literally all what is said. There's nothing more said. They don't say another word about it. But right then and there, I knew, okay, there it is. There's the story where they can pull off the TV show, and they can do something with that. So what do you guys think about that part?
So so that part takes us to a point in the movie where one of my favorite scenes is, which is like a Cap versus Cap, which I don't know if you're going to talk about now or later.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so in this scene, they go back to the building. Loki's just been captured. So, you get to find Cap in that elevator, and you see Cap in the elevator surrounded by all these people, and you're expecting this massive battle. Okay, and all of a sudden, Cap.
Oh man! Shout out to the Secret Empire.
Yeah, just gives a little quick shout out into the ear and says, "I'll take the lead on this, guys," and grabs the case, and he just goes, "Hail Hydra." And they let him out of the elevator. No major battle you were expecting. It was so genius and fun, and that's where Cap sees Cap.
That was another spec, is Crossbones. We knew that the actor was going to be, that he went back to film additional scenes. So people were thinking, oh, we're going to get Crossbones brought back, and he's going to be a villain of some sort. And this is the scene we're talking about. It's just the same scene that Cap was in. He had a whole fight in the elevator in, was it the first MC? I can't even remember. Was it Cap 1?
Winter Soldier.
It was Winter Soldier. Yeah, you're right. And here they went a different route, and it was really fun.
And we get to see a different Cap. This is a less serious Cap than 5 years prior that he faces.
Right.
Okay. And so they do their battle, whatever. But eventually we get to Loki grabbing this cube, and that was so fast and random. I was like, whoa, that just changed everything.
Yeah, different reality. So we're gonna have a Loki that's gonna likely run rampant throughout American history in this other show, because we have another MCU show that's probably going to be happening with Loki, and a lot of the spec around that is that he's going to just be popping in and out of American history. Who knows? Maybe he was the rat this whole damn time. Maybe we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen here. But him, and we know Vision and Scarlet Witch. That's another that they're probably going to have a show there, which is why I'm frustrated that they didn't bring Vision in. Why not bring Vision in if you're going to bring him in later? But anyways, I digress.
So Vision's not in this.
Vision is not in this movie, dude. He wasn't even in this movie one time. Did he even say his name? Not even one time.
So what about? I'm presuming Loki. I'm seeing Loki's TV show as a version of Quantum Leap. I think that would be the perfect thing, because obviously he can become other characters or whatnot. That way, this Hiddleston, is that the guy's name?
Yes.
He doesn't have to be on this show all the time. He can just do his parts. He can, transform into a different character, and they can play that on the show type thing. Right. So that's kind of a rough thing what I'm thinking about what they might do. Now they get the stone back from them, and they run into a problem because Loki just took the Tesseract, So they improvise. So we have Tony Stark and Captain America. They improvise, and they go back even further in time to like 1977, I believe, and we get our cameo of, and unfortunately, this is our last cameo of Stan Lee, and he's young or younger.
We're sure this is his last cameo.
I don't think he filmed anymore. You know,
I was under the impression, I could be wrong, but I thought that gentleman filmed like 5 to 10 more cameos that we don't know about.
Oh wow, that would be great.
I've heard rumors of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we keep seeing Stan for years to come, because just like in this movie, like oh, make him a mailman, you know, like whatever. Like they could just film it and put it on the shelf and use it when they want to. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's kind of been the rumor that I've been following online.
I would have liked a little something more in his honor than just a quick little beatnik drive-by of like.
Well, keep in mind, Captain Marvel, they had a whole intro devoted to Stan. I saw Captain Marvel the day before Avengers Endgame. Like I went to Captain Marvel that night, and then I went to bed, woke up, went and saw Endgame with you. And that whole first intro was a whole thing to Stan. It even said, "Thank you, Stan," and stuff. Yep. But you're right. I mean, it would have been nice to, heck, you know what would have been even cooler? If something with Kirby was in this movie. Anything with Kirby. I would have been happy. I would have probably started clapping. That would have been the coolest thing they could have done.
That would have been great.
That and maybe brought Vision in. I don't know.
Jesus. So we get Tony Stark. He reunites with his father, and very touching moment with his father. You know, obviously he lost him when he was a teenager and stuff like that. So they interact, and Tony gets the Tesseract back, and then we have Captain America. He's going to get some more PIM particles, and he sees Agent Carter, his long love that he's never got to be a part of, live with. And this is a key scene in the movie because this plays into the end of the movie. But he's staring at her through a window and shades and stuff like that, so she doesn't see him there. And this part was really emotional to me because, for one, we have the Tony Stark thing with his father, and then we have Captain America with Agent Carter. I mean, did you get kind of emotional on this one?
I didn't get really emotional. I loved it because I just like seeing I loved having Tony Stark meet his dad, because the history there is kind of tumultuous and when he talks about it,
right?
But it was a lot deeper when he really got to meet his dad than he really realized. So that was great. I always love when the character's background is developed more. So it was great to see. I wasn't quite emotional yet. I saved my emotion for a little bit later, but
yeah, same here. Same here. That was really cool though, going back in time, seeing his dad. Yeah, man, that was a really cool way to start to wind this character down.
Well, and we got to see Hank Pym,
right?
Too.
Yes. That was awesome.
That was great. And like an old costume of Ant-Man with the big helmet. I mean, or like potential Giant Man. That was awesome too. In the background.
And then we get the Hulk. He is now trying to get the stone from, I can't remember her name.
The ancient one.
The ancient one. And this was great because we get to see that they were actually participating in the battle in New York City, which, you know, they don't allude to in the first Avengers movie. So I thought that was great, seeing the ancient one actually shooting the villains or whatnot out of the sky. I was taken aback by that. I love the interaction they had, and that's where they try to explain the whole timeline thing. And if you try to understand time travel or timelines or any of that stuff, you're wasting your time right there, because none of it ever makes any sense in any movie. And I just kind of accept it for what it is and just kind of go from there. I didn't expect her to be in there. What did you guys think about her being in there? And just the fact that they were participating in the battle.
Yeah, I forgot about that. When I saw that did hit my head too. I was like, wait, were they fighting before? So thank you for bringing that up, because I completely spaced. They weren't in it. So it was really fun to see her. And then that whole thing was their own personal interaction. But that's also where we finally got to see our rampaging Hulk we really wanted to see again.
For like 3 seconds.
Yeah, like 10 seconds.
But that helped develop the character for Professor Hulk to show that he was trying to be more primal and he couldn't. He like gave a baby bash to a car or something and like dented the frame a hair. And then he thought, I don't know, it was great. That was fun to see.
Absolutely. No, it was good to see. I was awesome to see. You mentioned earlier other perspectives of past movies that we enjoyed. They were there the whole time. They were helping out and we just didn't know it. It was a cool way to see alternate shots and a good way to see characters that we like that rampaging Hulk scene.
Yeah, and kind of hope to explain what a timeline is, but kind of went. It's just to
it went
do
in another way for sure. No soul gem.
Yeah.
They're going to be filling this up with time lunacy. It's crazy.
So those teams retrieve their stones, and then we go to the other team, which is the War Machine and Nebula, and they're sent off to retrieve a stone. Now, this is a big thing because this is where the movie changes right here, because somehow this version of Nebula starts to interact with the other version of Nebula during that timeline, and that like they can like transmit each other's thoughts. And this is where Thanos starts to realize what's going on, at least the 2014 version of Thanos. I think that's the year they went back to. And he realizes that there's something going on. They're trying to get the stones. He puts it all together. He gets more information out of his version of Nebula, and decides he has to stop them. And he actually figures out that he accomplished his goal. The 2014 version of Thanos figures out he did it. But now he realizes that he didn't do exactly what he needed to do, and he wants to come back and correct that. What happens is Nebula and War Machine both make it back. So they all have the stones. They're all back at the headquarters. Is there anything you guys want to cover now that we're back at the headquarters before we keep going?
Yeah, because the Nebula that comes back is not the real Nebula that they've befriended. So that's actually, they switched out the Thanos's Nebula with the new Nebula that they've already grown a relationship with. So now that the evil Nebula, we'll just call it evil Nebula, comes in, and we also got to see a thing here with Thanos that, I don't know, it seems like you get to see how smart he truly is too. I mean, he puts this all together really fast. He's not just a big purple thug. I mean, he's a genius. Okay, he's an absolute, almost immortal. And you can see that he deals with the issue of like, I actually did it. You can look in his face like, wow, it happened. I did it. And now the repercussions of someone trying to take that away from him is a big deal. And so now it comes on to the next part. I don't know if you want to go into how they come.
No, that's a good way to put it. I mean, the Nebula scene at that point, another failed spec was that Nebula was going to be a central person in the fixing of all this. Something similar to what happens in Infinity Gauntlet. Not necessarily fixing the situation, but at least causing the tables to turn. I know that was a lot of spec around Nebula. And at this point, I'm thinking, all right, Nebula's going to be playing a key role in this movie, and we're probably going to see her wield the gauntlet. I mean, they even foreshadowed it with her hand being, screwed up from grabbing the gem. So I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a glove on that hand at some point, and we're going to see some Infinity Gauntlet goodness. And this was a failed spec.
And of course, she is. Did she not kill Thanos in the comic books?
Ooh. You're going to have to wait and see. No, the answer is no, but yeah.
No. All right. So we're back to the headquarters. They got all the stones. They have their own glove that Tony Stark has came up with his technology, and they put it all together. They kind of go back and forth on who's going to wear it. And obviously, the person who decides to wear it because of his strength is Hulk, or Professor Hulk. Now, Professor Hulk puts on a glove. They've decided to bring everybody back, but at this time frame, which is 5 years in the future. So everyone who gets to come back, it'll be 5 years that has passed. They're not going back in time anymore. They're at this current time. They're 5 years in the future. They're just going to bring everybody back, and they've just lost those 5 years. So Hulk puts on the glove. He struggles a little bit. I mean, his arm is like on fire, and he was able to make the snap. Now, what's that?
Hey, before we continue with that, Hulk making the snap. This is something that no one spec'd on. This is something that no one talked about. CBSI never mentioned this in any hot books, anything that I've read. I didn't get no key collector notification. I got nothing on Hulk wearing the gauntlet. This was something that I was surprised about. Everybody was surprised about. Ultimates issue number 25, first appearance of Hulk wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. No one's radar.
Well, I was shocked that Tony Stark made a glove that can hold the gauntlet stones in the first place. I thought I needed some star and a little dwarf in space to make some freaking weapon. So I was like, how is he just doing this in his lab? Like, okay, I guess it's Tony. Tony can make it happen. And then another thing we forgot to mention is that this is also when they realized that Black Widow didn't make it.
Yes.
Like when they just got back. And so there was a little moment there. I wish there was a bigger moment for her loss, but we never did get to see that. but yeah, like Hulk putting on the gauntlet, I didn't see that coming. And Thor really wanted to wear it too, just to speak out for him.
Yeah, they kind of touched on the Black Widow a little bit. And you're right. I think they should have touched on a little bit more. And there's actually some other plot points at the end of the movie I want to get to that kind of revolves around her as well. But so he does the snap. But right before the snap, Thanos' ship comes through the portal, and you see it go through the ceiling of the Avengers headquarters or whatnot. So right before Nebula has informed him and stuff, so they know, and they come through the portal and all that good stuff. So the snap works, okay? And all of a sudden you get a phone call from Hawkeye's wife, and that way you know for sure that that person is back, and all these people are back from 5 years being gone, which is pretty awesome. But the Hulk is damaged. I mean, he is tore up. I mean, his whole right side is just burnt, and he's not healing at all. And that's I saw that and I was like, if this is how he's going to be, how is he going to battle Thanos? Because that's one thing I was really hoping to get. So flash forward a little bit further, we have Ant-Man. He's looking out the window and he kind of sees in the distance, and all of a sudden Thanos just unloads and blows up Avengers headquarters, blows it up, shoots it with all the missiles or lasers, whatever you want to call it, blows everything up. And somebody else said this, but nobody dies. Nobody, the thing is just leveled. I mean, there's craters 100 feet deep from him blowing the headquarters up, and none of the Avengers are hurt from it whatsoever. So I was surprised about that. I would think maybe we'd lose someone or whatnot, but we didn't. And now we start to get the first battle. We have Thanos make his way to the planet. He's on Earth. He's sitting outside of what's left of the Avengers headquarters. And then we see some of the guys are in peril, like Hulk and Rocket and War Machine. They're kind of drowning or whatnot, because
what a shout out to like Secret Wars, that Secret Wars cover where Hulk's holding up everything. I mean, that's you got to assume that's where that came from,
Obviously, I saw that and I was like, man, that's cool, because that's one of my favorite covers. And if people don't know what we're talking about, it's in the Secret Wars, the first volume of Secret Wars. Hulk is holding up pretty much a mountain, I believe. Mm-hmm. And there's all the superheroes right underneath him, and he's just holding it up all by himself.
Right, with all the heroes there.
Yep, classic cover. So they're dealing with that, and we get our three main heroes. They emerge out of the wreckage. We have Iron Man, we have Captain America, we have Thor, and then we have Thanos sitting there pretty much waiting for them to show up. And this is where we get our battle, and the battle of these three characters against Thanos. And I got to tell you, Thanos kicks their ass. I mean, he's that guy. I don't know how OP this guy is, but he handles those guys like it's nothing. What do you guys think about that?
So reading some of the older comics, I mean, Thanos' power comes back to the Eternals, okay, which is something in the future we'll talk about. So it's deep rooted. He's not just a normal person.
He's a Titan.
Yeah, I have to I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly it would be, but he's just not your normal Joe from space. But yes, he seemed stronger in this movie than he did in Infinity War to me, watching all these battles. So, but yes, I mean, this guy, he put his game face on. I mean, when they showed up to fight, I mean, he was different. He had a fire. It was more vengeful than the first one, which was more for him, like doing it for like the greater good of the universe. This was like, you're trying to take this away from me. I'm over it. You're going down, guys.
Yeah, this one was, I mean, he was just nailing him. I mean, everyone, Iron Man, no chance. Thor, no chance. Even with both hammers, because we forgot to mention this, but Thor got his hammer back when they went back to get the stone. I totally forgot about that. So he actually has both hammers. And Captain America, he's getting hammered as well. Now, here's the thing, and this is one of the big spec books, and this came true. There's a part in this battle when they're struggling, and Mjolnir, I don't know if I pronounced that right, is sitting on the battlefield, and somebody picks it up besides Thor, and we get Captain America holding Thor's hammer in one hand, his shield in another, and he goes at it with Thanos. Iconic. People went crazy when they saw that. Obviously, this was teased in Age of Ultron when they were doing the little thing at the little coffee table and stuff, and now we actually get to see someone else holding Thor's hammer. Just an iconic moment. What would you guys say?
Oh yeah, It's very memorable. I think the something that you can learn in the comic book community here. This is a great example of a moment where we have books that, because of a moment in time, they become famous. And this is one of those moments. We're going to get into what happens to Cap. It's already kind of been alluded to. We're going to get into what happens to Rescue. It's kind of been alluded to already, you know, but some of these books, this happened. This moment's done. So as far as speculation goes, people think of speculation as this like a chart. It's going like this, right? Like eventually this character's going to take off, and then this is going to happen, and there's going to be more movies, and then it's going to keep going up, up, and up. Sometimes books, the key moment happens, and it's dependent on the success of the cinematography, how well that movie is able to have you remember that scene, how it affects you, the long-term aspect of it. Everyone who watches this movie is going to walk away remembering this scene. Whether or not we ever see this version of Cap again, this Steve Rogers again, they're going to remember him lifting this hammer, and they're going to want this comic book, which is why this book went from like $70 to, I don't even know, it's probably over 100 pretty soon, and I bet it will be over 100 eventually.
And that book is Thor 390. If people are wondering about that book, that's when Captain America holds Thor's hammer. So Thor number 390, that's the one to be on the lookout for. You know what? Stuff like that could be sitting in those dollar bins, man. I know I found some good stuff in there, but just a great book, just a great moment to see in the actual movie itself. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when he grabbed that hammer, Cap grabbed it like he knew exactly how to use it. Mm-hmm. And he wielded it with no hesitation and just dominated that hammer. I mean, he was throwing in combinations, swinging around. It was amazing, fantastic scene to see. So that's one of my favorite parts in the film, of many favorite parts, but it's up there.
It reminds me of Avengers 223 and what happened with that comic. I had to look it up because I'm like, is it 222 or 223? But Avengers 223 is that classic Hawkeye with Ant-Man on the arrow. And that's literally a comic book cover. That's a moment in the MCU. That moment will likely never happen again. And if it does, it's not going to be the same way. It happened once. The first time it happened on screen, we all remember it. And that comic book is to this day worth above $20. And Civil War, that's worth more than a friggin' Civil War #1 right now. And that book was going for like $40 at its height. So there are moments in this movie where Spec hasn't died yet, even if the characters have, even if the moment's done.
Very much so. So even though he has the hammer, it still doesn't go well. I mean, Thanos is still able to pretty much take care of all three of those guys. Not only that, but then all of a sudden we have Thanos' army, and he has his complete army there on the field. All the characters, all the Black Order, I believe that's what they're called.
Yes.
All those
another Spec, the Black Order. I don't see that happen. I don't see anything happening with that book.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about that either. And obviously, the Black Order made their appearance in Infinity Wars and stuff like that.
They thought that we're going to see more of the Black Order, as well as potentially a larger villain.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we didn't get any of that either. Now, Thanos has his military or his army. All of a sudden, these little portals start to open up. And these little portals start opening up all over right behind where Captain America is standing.
This was the moment where I was most disappointed in the movie. I have to throw that out right here. I thought, you see the Black Order, you see this impending war, right? And then, something's coming. Oh, wait. Never mind. Take it back. Keep going, brother. I mixed up my scenes here. This isn't the scene I'm talking about yet. You're right. Everyone's coming back. This is a cool moment. Never mind. So the rewind. We're live. Let's make it happen, Captain. There was no vision in this whole movie.
Oh God, here we go. So these portals start to open, and all of a sudden you start to see these people emerge from these portals. Black Panther and his crew. You start to see the Guardians of the Galaxy come through the portal. You start to see Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, along with armies, like Asgardian armies. The wizards, as Tony Stark would call them. They show up with their army. Just a ton of people on Black Panther's army. And there we go. We have the battle to end the battles right there. And it's one side against the other. And Captain America finally gets to say the line, Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, man, I just got chills, and you just said it. Like in the theater, I had like beads of sweat. I was saying under my breath, I'm like, you freaking say it, dude. Just say it. Say Avengers Assemble. Say it. And he did. He said it so good. He said it so good.
He said, and it came at a great part because literally Cap finally got up after a big beating and took all his muster's energy, and he's looking up at this massive army that's coming. And Thanos just said, I'm gonna have a good time, like basically torturing this planet. I mean, he made it personal. He's like, I don't usually like to do this, but this is what I'm gonna do to your planet. And all these aliens come down and all these ships, and you're like, dang. And then here comes the cavalry.
You actually feel a little bit like it ain't looking good. And then you go, oh, yeah, there's like half the MCU that's gone that's about to come back right now.
Yeah.
It felt awesome. Good. It was really cool. Some of the coolest scenes in Marvel cinema history about to happen.
So it was so great to see all these people, but honestly, I didn't like the battle scene as much as I liked Infinity Wars. And this is probably the deciding factor why I liked Infinity Wars a little bit better. I didn't think that there was a lot of one-on-one type scenes to where you got to see actual battles between one and another person. We did get the rest of the Avengers emerge from the building, like Ant-Man and Hulk and stuff like that, because they were stuck under there. So they did reemerge. And so we start to see this big battle. But we don't get, like I said, we don't get like individual battles like we did with Infinity Wars, like when Black Widow was going up against a member of the Black Order, and they were just fighting each other for like a couple minutes and stuff like that. So we didn't get things like that. We kind of got like this whole keep away thing of the gauntlet. And I don't understand that whole thing. What were they trying to do with the gauntlet at that time? Were they trying to get it to someone, or were they trying to get it out of there? I didn't understand that part.
I don't think they had any plan. I think that this was just Thanos showed up. They weren't expecting him to. A lot of this was like, they're just trying to not even revert. That's actually a really good point. They weren't trying to revert the snap. They're trying to keep everything the same and bring the people back, which is another very big difference here. So like, they're trying to bring everyone back. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I thought they were trying to take the stones back to where they came from.
Oh, after the fact, they have to do that.
No, I thought that was what they were doing at that moment, because they did the snap, and I thought that's what they were taking him back into time.
Oh, like I said, that's what they would be doing.
Yeah.
But I think it all happened. Well, it happened all in like 3 minutes. So it's like, oh, we accomplished it. And now we got to play keep away.
Yeah. And I got to say, like, this movie obviously had a lot of superheroes all at once again. And I think it really focused. We couldn't have every minute of every character that we wanted. You just can't get that, guys.
Okay. But why no new characters?
Why would you need more new characters?
Why not? Can you imagine one shot of like...
No, you can't even fall. You're still trying to catch up with the ones that you've missed that have been gone all movie.
Yeah, I don't care.
And I think they really focused on the ones that weren't going to be around.
That's true. That's true.
So they're like, you'll see all these other guys later. But right now, these are the ones that you're going to need the most of, because you're not going to see them after this movie. So we're going to give you as much of it as you can take. And I think they did that.
I was expecting to see Wolverine or something. I was expecting to see one shot of like freaking Storm, just like, I'm here now, like, or something, They could have done something. Somebody knew. Because the Russo brothers, they were hyping this up. They're like, you're going to see everybody. Like, there's going to be, you can blow your mind with how many characters you're going to see. Well, yeah, they just showed us all the characters we've been introduced to. It was more of a, oh, it's cool to see them again, and them again, and them again. And that's cool. I was happy about it. But I wanted my mind to I wanted to explode. I wanted to see the Surfer. I wanted to see something I was really not expecting. And things are still at this point, it ain't looking like they're fighting. They're holding it off, but they're still being bombarded.
Yeah, and the battle goes on for a while. And like some of the things that we were missing, like obviously we know that the Hulk is injured, okay? But I didn't see any fight scenes at all with the Hulk, like during this battle. I mean, I saw him running onto the field, and then I didn't see him at all the whole rest of the time. I don't know if I just missed it or they just didn't do it. And I was surprised at that, because I was really hoping to get a rampaging Hulk type thing yet again, and we missed that. I was really disappointed in that part. We then get to see him interact with the Scarlet Witch, which obviously, sorry, Tom, poor Vision didn't quite make it, and she's looking for a little revenge on Thanos himself. And this is like, the Scarlet Witch did much better than Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man put together against Thanos. I mean, she had the guy's number.
That's right. And this right here was the moment where there was another failed spec. Right in this moment was their opportunity to go House of M on everybody. House of M has been on the minds of a lot of people, thinking that Scarlet Witch is going to have something to do with this. Nope, failed spec.
Well, she's still alive. There's still a future.
She's gonna be in a show. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it went from a brute force like with the other characters to something more magical and mystical with her, which she got to show off for us to see, which is really all I think they wanted to show is like she's powerful, she's strong, she uses magic, and she can be something stronger than just a side character. So I think it was a cool scene, but again, she can't take a physical beating. He laid one whack on her and she was done. So
true.
So she's doing a number on him, and Thanos is not doing well. So he decides to kind of do a kamikaze thing, and he tells his massive ship to just start firing upon the battlefield, which will kill everybody, his own army, everybody that's on there, type thing. So that's what happens. His massive ship starts firing. The battle starts. Everyone starts taking damage. People are dying. At least not any of our main superheroes or whatnot. They're not dying, but some of the, we'll just call them red shirts. That's a Star Trek reference. They're dying or whatnot. Then obviously Thanos' army is dying. They're still trying to play keep away with the gauntlet that just keeps jumping around from character to character. And then out of nowhere,
this is the part that I was I was so disappointed.
All right, go Tom, you got it.
This is the part I was talking about. Okay. Because there's all of this ruckus. And oh my gosh, like this is like, it's the turn again, like, oh, he's going to just start bombing everybody. He's got this huge ship. And then there's this like, oh, something's coming to help, right? Or something's coming to, and I'm thinking the whole time of this movie that a big spec, probably the biggest spec in this last year, in my opinion, is that there was a release about Thanos not being the biggest baddie in this movie. They alluded in press that there was more to fear than just Thanos. Now, I don't know what that we're talking about, because I didn't see that in this movie. It was this moment that I thought I was going to see Galactus, man. I thought it was going to be. I freaking thought it was going to be delight. I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, this is going to be Galactus, and I'm going to just like freaking cry right now. But the crying came later, and there was no Galactus, and it was Ms. Marvel, and I'm like, oh, okay.
No, no Galactus.
There's no Galactus, dude. I thought it was good. I swear, man. I'm like, oh, they're the clouds. They're showing the clouds, and there's just going to be the freaking helmet, man, or something. He's just gonna, you can't do this or something. I don't know. Like, it was like 3 seconds, so it was just super depressing for me. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Anyways,
I thought it was cool too. By the end of it, I was like, Captain Marvel arrives. Go ahead. I don't want to take it away from where you're going with it.
Yeah, so Captain Marvel shows up, and she just lays waste to the ship. She just blows right through it with her power and stuff. I think she makes a couple passes at it, and she just wipes out this ship. And this ship falls to the ground, and she hits the battlefield, and she's going straight for Thanos. And you get Captain Marvel against Thanos. And she's just as powerful, if not more so powerful than Thanos, I believe, from what I've been told.
Yeah, the most powerful person in the MCU is what the Russo brothers said. And it's what Variant reported on, because that's what has been said by the producers and directors and the writers.
Yeah, I mean, she came into this game of mercy, I think it's called, right? And then she like grabbed the gauntlet hand and start bending it back in that movie.
I mean, she took a freaking blow to the head and didn't even phase her. That was one of my favorite parts of this movie.
That face off between the two of them, because she jumped right in, was great to see. Obviously short lived, but again, I think that was just so that we got more of who we're going to see. We got to see more of the people that aren't going to be around, and I think that was really the big point of it.
Right.
There's a really great moment when all the female characters are on screen at once. And there's some team, it was A-Force or something like that, and it's all female superheroes and whatnot. And I think they put there was like 8 or 9 of them all together, and they kind of go after Thanos. I mean, I enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool, and they spotlight Rescue, the Gwyneth Paltrow character and stuff. And
one of the oldest characters in the MCU. I mean, she was in Iron Man 1.
Rescue?
No, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, because it was like rescue.
But like it's like about time to like, it's cool to see her be Pepper Potts. Yeah. It'd be cool to see Pepper Potts. It's cool to see her actually kick some ass. It's cool.
Do you guys see a female movie coming out with all female leads, a team or something like that?
Absolutely. I think that's what they were alluding to right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
I love that scene, and the great part is it kept pulling out further and further, and just another character and another and another, and it just kept growing.
Freaking Valkyrie!
Oh, that was so awesome.
That was so dope, dude.
They're all like, "We got your back," and then it just kept growing and growing. It's like, oh yeah, another. Oh my god, this.
So this guy. So our top 10. We record the top 10 on Thursday nights. So my day was going to see Captain Marvel, and then coming to do the top 10, not having seen the movie. Doing the top 10 with Russ, who had seen Endgame, had to like tell him like on 4 different occasions. I'm like, dude, you're getting really close to telling me something. You just need to stop talking. I don't want to talk to you about this. I had to keep telling him that. And then I went at 9 a.m. to watch it with you. I sat down, we watched that movie, and at the very end, you're like, dude, Valkyrie, man, we haven't been talking about Valkyrie at all. Like Valkyrie was who would have thought? And I'm like, dude, at my house right now on my SD card is me talking about Valkyrie last night, and I didn't even know any of this stuff. I'm just like, I don't know, Valkyrie would be really cool. So like there was even spec on characters that are now I think are going to be huge. Valkyrie, she's leading Asgard. She's the queen of Asgard now.
And just so you guys know, Valkyrie first appearance number 83 Avengers sitting right there. Wonderful book.
And if you want the Tessa version, it's Exiles issue number 2.
There you go. Exactly. But very cool. I love that scene. It kind of throws back to the first Avengers when they had that wraparound scene where it had all 4 of the Avengers or the whole team, and the camera pans around them all one shot. And then they did the same thing in Avengers Age of Ultron in the very beginning when they're in the snow and they're fighting, and they have that scene that shows all the Avengers advancing on the field. They kind of do that in all the different Avengers movies where they show all the characters like that. I really enjoy the camera, well, not camera work because it's all pretty much CGI or whatnot. But it just looks awesome. I love when they have team pictures like that. And I really like seeing all the ladies getting all together and kicking some butt. But let's advance a little bit. Thanos has now regained the gauntlet, or this version of the gauntlet.
Before we do that, I got to mention one of my favorite scenes.
Okay.
Iron Spider, auto kill, baby.
Oh, yeah.
That was crazy. How dope was that? Well, I had such a big grin when I'm just like, when I think Tom Holland just like went up a couple notches. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Auto kill is holding the gauntlet. And it's just like, that's what I wanted to see in Civil War. I wanted to see that like killing machine. He's wearing a killing machine. He's got like these like knives and he's a spider.
Yeah,
you kidding me?
He got to a point with the gauntlet. He's like, oh my God, auto kill.
Auto kill. He's just holding it.
And he's just holding it. His suit is just going rampant. It's taking out people.
That was so cool, man. I mean, represent that suit. It was good, man. That really made me happy to see on screen.
I love when his eyes went red. When his eyes went red, he did the auto kill thing. Man, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then every time they'd cut back to that camera, there'd be more and more piles of victims that he's just wiped out and stuff like that. And eventually you just saw the little arms kind of in the behind all the people and stuff like that. So it was very cool. Awesome scene. But now Thanos has the gauntlet and he's wanting to make the snap. One of the characters that didn't get used, and I really was disappointed about this, was Doctor Strange. When he came back, he said a couple of words, and then he spent the whole battle holding up a wall of water that was going to be flooding the battlefield. So, I mean, he doesn't battle anybody at all. He doesn't battle Thanos. He doesn't battle any of the little minions or whatnot. He's literally there holding up a wall of water that's going to flood the battlefield and stuff like that. He looks at Tony Stark, and Tony looks back and he puts up his finger like this, like just like that. Like, this is the one chance out of the 14 million that he foresaw that we could win type thing. So Thanos goes to do the snap. Tony runs over, grabs the gauntlet. And since this is Tony Stark's tech, I believe he just sucks out the stones because it's that whatever tech that it's called or whatnot. And now he has the stones. And Thanos goes to do the snap, and there's nothing there. There's no stones. It's just like a regular snap. And then the camera pans over, and there you have Tony Stark now with the stones on his hand, which is his suit just made another gauntlet. I guess it can just do that. And Tony decides to do the snap. And that's when we get the opposite of what happened last time. Now all of Thanos' army and Thanos himself are dusted. And we sit there and we know what's going to happen because we know that the stones, they're very powerful. And we're probably going to lose a character. And this leads into now we lose the second death. And since I covered the first death, I'll let you guys cover the second death.
Take it away, man.
So this is now the effect, because you need to be an absolutely powerful being to be able to snap at all. We saw the effect it had on Thanos, and we saw the effect it had on Hulk. So we have a human of just Tony Stark taking a snap at it. And
I like that.
yeah. And so unfortunately it takes his life. And this is a really, really powerful moment for everybody. I mean, and then Doctor Strange did give that symbol 1, and I think that was when it hit him. Like the reason that he gave up that time stone and that 1 and to spare Tony Stark's life was for this very moment, that he had to be the one to do it. This was that 1 in however 14 million. And but then we have this great moment with Spider-Man and Pepper Potts, and I don't know if you want to expand some more. War Machine.
Yep. Yeah, it was. I knew he was going to be the one to die as soon as they showed him with this family, because they gave him 5 years of his of what he deserves as a hero. Like to not have to do this job that they think they want to do, but then they realize they are permanently heroes. Like you can't not do it. Once you take that responsibility is not your life. Like you are a hero. It's going to affect everything you do. And you see that he actually was the only one in this whole movie, and that actually post snap, really, that probably was like, he even says it, like he was fine. He wanted to revert back to how it was. Like he was probably could have died happy with his kid, and it would have been good. But as soon as they showed that he was happy, he got 5 years of a good life, not part of the company, not as Tony Stark, as a father, and as not even as Iron Man. I knew that. Okay, they're setting him up. They're setting him up here because he's got to go.
Yeah, it was heavy with Pepper Potts just saying, now you can rest. I mean, he talked about how he hasn't been able to rest because of all the weight on his shoulders, and now he made the biggest sacrifice, and she's just kind of saying her goodbyes.
Yeah, before we jump into the next scene, because this is actually kind of the end of the battle, there's a couple things that happen on the battlefield that I had some questions on. Maybe you guys can help me out. There's a scene where Ant-Man and the Wasp, they go to his van, and I don't understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to turn on that machine for some reason. And
trying to get the gauntlet out of there, trying to get the stones back.
Yeah, that's why they went to the machine, because that's where it was going. That's why you hit that car alarm on it to set off the tunes to it.
Yeah, trying to get the cucaracha. Yeah.
So they were trying to get the gauntlet to that thing. That's what they were trying to do?
Yeah, trying to get it out of there.
They needed Mickey Mouse to walk on the controllers again to get it to work. Unfortunately, he wasn't there.
Hey, and while we're on that note, since we're kind of bringing it back to the rat, which was like really important, I think comics. I saw this comment on here. Comics Misexplained said the Loki MVP was the rat. Ant-Man, which I think personally my favorite my favorite films in the MCU are the Ant-Man films, and I think Paul Rudd's my favorite character. Ant-Man's my favorite character in the whole MCU. I think that everything that Paul Rudd did in this movie was brilliant. But Doctor Strange is low-key MVP. I know you say you didn't care for how much he wasn't in the film.
Yeah.
I respect the fact that he wasn't in the film very much, because in the Infinity Gauntlet saga, Doctor Strange is the low-key MVP in the actual comics. He's the person who revives Thor, Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back in time to get Drax. He gets Fire-Lord. He keeps all of his team safe. He's the only one like really working with Warlock and Silver Surfer in the comics, making sure that they know what they have to do. He's the one who's controlling really the whole plan. And he's the one who's setting up plan B and C and D. And guess where he's doing it from? He's doing it from his freaking apartment, like his little house, Sanctum Sanctorum. So Doctor Strange in the comics, he does all of these things in Infinity Gauntlet, but he does it from way far away, and he's not even in the battle. He's doing it all. And without him, everything would have been lost in the comics. Doctor Strange is the MVP. And here, without Doctor Strange, Thanos wins. Same thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like his powers. And I liked when his powers were on display in Infinity Wars when he was battling Thanos. And I was hoping to get more of that with the cloak and just the spells that he can do and stuff. I was hoping to get that either not necessarily against Thanos. It could have been against any of the other characters or whatnot, but all we get him is just holding up a wall of water. Now there's a couple things that we just kind of skipped over because this is a big movie and stuff like this. But obviously Gamora, what happened to this version of the Gamora? This is Thanos' version of Gamora that comes with him back to this time. Okay. What happened to her? Did she get dusted? Because she is not seen on the battlefield after anything. And then fast forward, something else pops up on the screen when they're the Guardians of the Galaxy are getting ready to leave type thing. So what do you guys think what happened to her?
She saved Peter Quill's life, right? Because he was being held down, right? And then didn't she save him? So she's on the battlefield. I didn't see her get dusted, but there was that moment there when she's talking to Nebula, like, this is the dude that I'm like supposedly into.
Yeah.
And that was like, I think the last time we saw her.
Yeah, that was it.
It's pre her joining Guardians of the Galaxy. This is before she knows Peter Quill. So we're going to see probably in James Gunn's version, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy, or not version, because we're getting him back. He's going to be doing number 3. We're probably going to see that relationship being a central part of that movie, him having to re-fall in love, win her back. He's got to have, they got to fall back in love.
That'll be part of the search probably of where they're going. By the way, it was great to see Black Panther again too.
Oh, that was one of the coolest scenes of the whole freaking movie. Him coming back. That was awesome.
Fun.
That dude is awesome, man. Black Panther, they did such a good job. Like all of his attack scenes, him running, man, he's a cool character. I've always been a big Black Panther fan. They've really done him justice.
He really translates on film well with that suit.
Doesn't he? He just looks badass. I'm like, I can see that dude being a real superhero. Like it looks real.
Yeah.
And he brings his armies with him. He's even got the ships from Wakanda and everything. So it's really cool to see him back. And he's another character I would like to see more of. But this movie was about the main Avengers themselves. And I get that because obviously we've lost a few of them. So now the battle is over. Thanos is gone. Tony Stark, unfortunately, has passed away. And the next scene we get is the funeral for Tony Stark. And this is... I got a little teary-eyed on this one because you get to see everyone is there. Everybody is there. They're all there for his funeral. They're at his house, I believe, the one that's in the country and stuff like that. And they're laying a wreath to rest and stuff. You get to see his daughter, his wife, all his friends, all the heroes, everything from Groot to Drax. I mean, you name it, they're all there. Captain Marvel's there. We get to see, actually, we see the kid from Iron Man 3, I believe that's who that was. Did you guys see who that kid was?
Yeah,
he was out there.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. At first, I was like, "Is that like supposed to be Kid Loki or something like that?" Because I know we've talked about that. But it was neat to see him, and we see this really touching moment. And we have his daughter talking to the one guy, his chauffeur. I can't remember his name. But he talks to her. It's a very touching moment. And I don't think there was probably a dry eye in the theater at that time. I mean, is this where you guys lost it?
Yeah, I mean, it was, right around there. And it just, I thought I'd get myself together and then it would just come back and well up again. I mean, it was a really, really great moment and scene. They did a fantastic job having us love these characters to the point of where it brings you to tears when you lose any of them.
Yeah, man, it was rough. I was a mess. I was like, just seeing Tony leave us. That was rough, but damn, like Cap and that whole sequence was another failed spec of, people thought Cap was going to die. No one's been talking about, like, that was a really, really cool way to wind out Cap. I don't know. It was good. It was definitely it was a good way to do it. But it really made me sad. It was tough to see, and then also to see him, pass the torch. It all definitely like made me real emotional. I wasn't expecting to care as much, and seeing these scenes, I'm like, all right, they accomplished the goal. Like they got me invested in these characters in this movie.
Yeah. So the next scene we have Cap, and he's supposed to take the stones back to where they're supposed to go in the right period of time, and he's going to go through the teleport thing, whatever. And I noticed one thing is he takes the hammer with him. He has the hammer when he goes through the portal, and he's supposed to come back in 5 seconds on our time, and he'll be there for as long as it takes to put the stones back. He doesn't come back, and they're sitting there. Where's Cap? Where's Cap? Now, I think that Bucky knew that he wasn't coming back. I think they kind of gave each other a look, and when they look over and they see a gentleman sitting on the bench just off to the distance, he knows that that's Cap, and he knows that. I think he knew that Cap was going to stay, and I think Bucky knew all along that Cap was going to pass the torch to the Falcon.
What was the? Do you remember the one thing that our Cap said to the old Cap to distract him?
Something like, "Don't do anything crazy" or something like that. Or you're talking about that?
I'm talking. They're fighting right before. No, I'm talking about the two Caps that are fighting. I'm taking, we go back a little bit. There are two Caps are fighting. He has to distract them to get the Mind Stone to wipe that Cap's memory to sedate him. Do you remember what he says to distract him?
Yeah, that phrase that he uses all the time.
He says, "Bucky's still alive."
No.
Yes.
He says, "Bucky's still alive." Cap goes, "What?" And then he uses the Mind Stone and puts him to sleep there for a sec. Cap and Bucky's relationship is like a brother relationship. It made him stop. It was like we go and think about the Infinity Gauntlet or the Infinity War and all the different moments where you're like, oh, it almost was fixed until Peter Quill got emotional, or it was almost fixed until this happened, till this character had their one moment of pausing because of something. They all have their thing, right? Cap, in that one moment, you see like how much that Bucky relationship caused Cap to have a moment. We see that old Cap actually like he gets taken out by himself because of the word Bucky. He's like, Bucky, and like boom, that's all it took. So like in that moment, Bueller, what you're talking about, when they saw each other, and Bucky knows that, oh, Cap, you're gonna go back in time to where I came from, like where Bucky is from. He knew.
Yeah,
I knew every second of that.
I could totally tell. I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, that's what's going on, because he had that look on his face, like he wasn't surprised one bit, and I think they had the conversation beforehand. I think they had the conversation about who he's going to pass the torch to, which was the Falcon. And that scene is where we see the gentleman sitting on the bench. They walk over and then Bucky says, go ahead. And they realize it's Captain America. And Falcon walks over there and sees him. And Captain America's age is he's an old man and everything. And he's got the shield and he wants to give it to the Falcon. And that is where Falcon becomes the new Captain America, which is a spec book that's out there that we've talked about before. I think it's issue Captain America number 25. And that's when the Falcon becomes Captain America. And that's what we get. And that is our new Captain America, because our current one is now, I don't know, he's like 100 years old and he looks at it and he's actually doesn't look that bad. But then they notice one thing, they shake each other's hands. And the Falcon notices that Captain America is wearing a wedding ring, which is just fantastic, because when I saw that, I knew exactly where they went with that story right there. He stayed in the timeline when he went back. He was there with Agent Carter. They lived a life. And then from that scene, we go to a scene back in time. And then none other than we see Captain America dancing with Agent Carter. And that was alluded to in the very first Captain America movie, when they talked about when they want to see each other, when they'll dance together and stuff like that. And they never had that moment. And considering Captain America is the first Avenger, it ends with him and getting his dance with Agent Carter. I loved it. I thought it was great. Great emotional moment. Great way to wrap up the story and everything. I was crying. I was like a little baby. I was like, oh, give me a break, But it was such a good thing to see, and just to see her character back on the screen and stuff, I enjoyed that. So I'm pretty sure you guys were pretty emotional about that scene, and this kind of wraps up the movie, to be honest. So what did you guys think about that last scene with Agent Carter? I'd like to hear you.
Yeah, all the Agent Carter stuff. The Jarvis reference. that was cool too. I know if you watch Agent Carter, you saw Jarvis's appearance, that actor's appearance. Back when Tony's talking to his dad. But yeah, the time travel added so much to this story. So it's forgivable, because it definitely makes this ending so emotional. And holy smokes, was it emotional? I've been thinking about it for days now.
Yeah, it's nice to see our heroes who sacrificed their entire livelihood in life to get a chance to actually live a happy life outside of just trying to save the world, but just live a normal life like you and I get to live.
Not to mention the actors who like literally been working for like a decade. Like this is like all what's what they do. They're these characters. They act, they do press, and then they start working on the next movie. And then like I think of like Robert Downey Jr. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's been Iron Man. This has been his role. So just thinking about all these characters that we're just, this is what we rely on seeing. Like we expect to see it. We think about it. You think of Iron Man, you think of these movies, and I think this is it. Those last three. Ting, ting, ting at the very, very end, post credits. That's 3 for phase 3. That's three. That's the same 3 sounds of forging the first Iron Man suit from that cave from Iron Man 1. Jon Favreau's, getting his moment in the funeral, which was awesome. You know, the cheeseburger reference to Iron Man 1. When he gets back, he tells Pepper Potts he wants 2 things. He doesn't get to say the second thing, but he does say in the first thing, wants an American cheeseburger. I mean, like, these are all, like, so much was thought out here for these moments, and it was a really good payoff. And I think a lot of the fans are happy about it.
Yeah, the movie's left to the future. And that's what I mentioned earlier, is the family, because it felt like the whole thing was driven by the importance of family. The Avengers themselves are a family and a team, and how important that was to everybody to fix everything. And that was the driving force felt for everybody, to get back their family, save their family, protect their family. And now the family sounds like it's going to be looks like it's taking over for the future of these movies, as the young ones seem to have the next step to carry this torch.
So the movie's over. We got it all covered. It was a roller coaster, to say the least. Action. We're crying. We're laughing. We're having a great time. Is there anything in the movie that you guys were like really disappointed with now that the movie's over?
No Galactus, no Vision, no new characters, not enough Hulk, not enough. I mean, like the deaths were kind of a bummer, but I think I understand them happening. It was 3+ hours long, but it was it was really great. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to pick out stuff that I was upset about, because I'm so happy about it. There's so many really good things that was exciting.
There's always going to be like letdowns, I think, from what a person will envision that they want to see. So for me, the highs were so dang high. Yeah. This movie did not let me down. I'm just going to say overall at all. Granted, there's some stuff I would have liked to have seen, but for the most part, to wrap up something as epic as this so well, because it very easily could have failed, I mean, in other hands, or just gone wrong. That I think this is a huge win. I loved it. And I think they did an amazing job.
Did you guys think that there was going to be any mention, or maybe something referencing the Fox properties that were purchased by Disney?
Absolutely. I was really thinking we were going to see something with Galactus or Fantastic Four. It would have been the time to do it. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's Fantastic Four. Like, why? But like, they've had so many failures with Fantastic Four that this is what they would have needed to do it. But I mean, X-Men, I really thought we were going to see something. I thought we were going to see a little something, especially after the fact, but not so much. But I'm okay with it. You said like it was some things I would have liked to see, but it was so good that I'm not disappointed. I mean, like, I can complain about some characters not being in it.
I like it as a clean break. They're like, we're not giving you anything else. This is where we're wrapping it all up nice and tight with everybody. It's done. We're not going to jump or put expectations on something, and just keep it to what and everybody, and make it a good movie, and just wrap it up and onto a fresh start on everything.
And as far as fresh starts go, we do have some hints at fresh starts, because since Adam Warlock wasn't in this movie, we know that that's got to happen soon. They've alluded to Warlock. Guardians has already shown the Cocoon. So it's likely that that's going to have to do with the Guardians run. We're probably going to see some type of Adam Warlock thing come in the future. We also are probably going to see, I've seen in the comments a few people saying like, no, I think that Gamora was dusted. No, like at the end of the movie, Peter was looking to figure out like where this Gamora went. Like he's searching for this Gamora, because it's the only Gamora he knows that exists, and he knows that he is in love with her. So we kind of have an idea of where this is headed. Did anyone catch the line by Valkyrie about the water? She mentions when she becomes queen,
like a tremor or something.
The tremor underwater. What could that be?
Ooh, I know what that is.
You know what that is.
Aquaman.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jason Momoa, man, he's making a disappearance.
DC is like really throwing in the towel. They're like, we're giving you Aquaman. Yeah. Help. We need help. No. I mean, Submariner's coming, guys. Like, just be ready. Submariner is happening. And if you didn't catch that line, watch the movie again. It's worth the watch.
Yeah, especially since
that I'm like, hell yeah, Namor. Okay, no Galactus, I'll get Namor. I'll take Namor. It's okay.
Especially since Aquaman did so well for DC. I mean, you're going to get the Namor here pretty quick.
Oh, look at this. Comics explained. Tom #Vision picked up the hammer first. Damn right.
Ooh, that's awesome. That's right.
Sure did.
That's awesome. Hey, so this is the culmination of 10 years of Marvel doing these films. What do you think we're going to be talking about in 10 years from now? Are we going to have are we going to be sitting here Secret Wars in 10 years? Is that going to be the big story arc that's coming next?
I think that we're in dangerous waters right now, personally.
Oh, nice.
I think that this right here was this could, I be for real right now. This could be a peak. Like, let's be real. This could be a freaking peak. We have some amazing characters that people love and they grew up with. We've had some new faces hit the screen. How has that gone so far?
It just depends. I mean, people are loving Guardians, people are loving Black Panther, and people are probably are still loving Thor.
Yes, they're still loving Thor. So we have, it's going good. But this movie was epic proportion. I'm talking about, we need now, like, this is it. This is phase 3. Phase 3 is finished. We need something huge to get people excited now.
We do have something huge. We have Fantastic Four. We have the X-Men.
Not yet. We think we do.
We do. I mean, maybe not tomorrow, but we might be talking about a year from now, or something's in the works a year from now. And obviously, they're going to bring those characters into the MCU. I mean, we know that for sure. I mean, that's why they purchased them.
Something that I know what we can't expect is that with this movie, especially seeing Tom Holland's, I don't want to call them like their actors' name. I should say Peter Parker's relationship with Tony Stark in this whole movie. Very clear that Tony Stark is his mentor. We're going to now see in this next movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, because that is technically finishing phase 3. That's what the Russo brothers said. They said there's one more movie, it's Spider-Man Homecoming. So with Tony Stark absent, I'm predicting, in order for this to work, that we're going to see Peter Parker and his friend, who was also brought back now because the snap was reversed now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see this school trip that he takes with a bunch of probably other kids who were brought back from the snap as well. Because that's how you have to, how else are you going to repair the 5-year difference, right? So you're probably going to have some kids that are 5 years older, and you're going to have some people, but probably a bunch of kids who all just came back. So they're all the same age. So it all makes sense. We're probably going to see Mysterio, this whole Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio storyline, have to do something with like mentorship. I have a feeling that because Mysterio is known to be a trickster, he's probably going to be considered a hero for some of the movie until they find out that he's the villain. I mean, that's been the strong spec since they introduced him into the since they showed the first trailer. I'm expecting to see that this character is probably going to try to take the mantle of Tony Stark for Peter Parker. He's probably going to take over as the mentor for a little bit. He's got this tech. We know that this Mysterio is very tech heavy, very smart, and yeah, he's probably going to be let down. That's what I imagine we're going to see here in this next movie.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back to what you were saying about the future, because I get what you're saying, because if things aren't casted right, it doesn't take long for people to just jump out of a movie and a character. I mean, we saw that with Iron Fist on Netflix. Okay, that casting job was horrible. And that you saw how quickly that Defenders didn't land either because of that, on top of just the Iron Fist. So, but yeah, I mean, we have some characters to build off of. There's always that risk, but I'd like to feel like I haven't really been let strongly down more than once or twice out of so many years for these films that, man, I just can't imagine us, like, obviously this is an epic point to have reached with Endgame. I mean, we'll be talking about it for 10 years from now. I can't imagine it's not, because it was such a big deal.
Yep.
So does it have to be as big? I don't know if it can or can't be. This is like, this whole run of Marvel was better than Star Wars has been for me.
Oh, like, absolutely.
Star Wars to shame. Star Wars has failed me countless of times.
Dude, this doesn't even compare.
And this has gone on for a longer span with greater hits for me. So if they can just keep it going, and which I think they can with so many characters, because if it fails on one, they can bring somebody else in pretty quickly.
But remember, like, what made this whole thing work, why it was so successful, is the relentless weaving of tie-ins, just like in the comics. You had the endings that bring in new characters that allude to other storylines, and you have the big baddie that was alluded to for like over 5 years. And we've been talking about this Thanos battle and this climax for a very long time. I'm not sure how they're going to match that, but I'm excited to find out.
I'm excited because we lost a handful of characters, and we lost Iron Man, huge character. We lost Captain America, another huge character. We didn't. I mean, he's still there. And then right now, Black Widow. Now that's a small amount of characters to the simple fact of how many characters they just gained this last year because of their merger or their acquisition of Fox.
That's very true.
You lose 3, but you add 3 times the amount what you had before, because you now have mutants per se. And all those people can be introduced into the universe. So I'm excited because I think this was a great way to end this storyline, and it is closed. It's done. We got the 10 years. They all tied together. We know what happened. It was just a great ending. And now we can start fresh. We can get new villains. We can get new characters because the toy box is wide open, and they can do whatever they want, and they can play off it. And I have complete faith in them because I haven't been let down from a Marvel movie in quite some time. And I think the guys that are running the ship over there, I mean, they're focused. I mean, they know the product to put out, and the product that we're getting every single time is just, breaking box office records, and it's got great characters. They cast very well, and that goes a long way. Peter Quill, the cast for Peter Quill, excellent. The cast for Iron Man, excellent. The cast for this Hulk, excellent. I mean, you just go down the list, and I can't think of a different actor to play any of these characters. I think that trend will continue on with all the new characters that are involved, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm very happy to call this the end of Phase 3? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Technically, Homecoming's supposed to be, but yeah. Okay. But really, I mean, this is the end of Phase 3.
Yeah. So I couldn't be more happy. I left the movie, with a big smile on my face, and money well spent. And just to think of all the hours and years that we put in watching these movies that are all connected. That's the thing that I'm just amazed by. They're all connected. And there's over 20 movies that all pay off on this one Endgame movie. And to pull off a feat like that, my hat's off to those guys. And I think we all left there with a big smile on our face and looking forward to what happens in the future.
I'm hoping for some Fantastic Four.
And some Vision.
I'm hoping for some Eternals. There's so much they can do. And I'm excited that this was such a success because it's just the start. They're like, oh, we'll do one little thing from the comic, and it blows people's minds. It makes millions and millions of dollars. People aren't laughing about comic books anymore. Welcome to 2019.
That's right. Hey, I want to recognize a couple people in the chat here. A few people gave some super chats. We got Economics and Comics. Thank you so much. #Closet Geek. I know they're a big supporter of Comic Tom 101. I've seen them in there quite a bit. Cleveland Comic Noob, thank you as well. And Comics Misexplained, love the name. That guy's awesome to talk to him. Yeah, appreciate that. And also my little nephew's in here, Monkey Ian around. So thanks, my little nephew. He's like 18 or 19. He's not that little, but I saw him in the chat, and I really appreciate him joining us today. Final thoughts from you two gentlemen.
I think the future for comics and comic Marvel and even DC in the direction they're going is bright. I think there's a lot of actors who are excited to just even be a part of a film now to have to do with a superhero because of the potential. And I thought kudos to this entire journey up to this point, up to 22 films, even 23. I'm excited for the Spider flick as well. So geek responsibly, and love you 3000.
Oh, I like that. I definitely enjoyed post watching this movie, like just thinking about how many conversations I've had with members of this comic book community, and seems like hours of speculation talk of just what could happen. Could they do this in the comic? What about this storyline? Read this. What if they do this? And watching just like this community just grow. Like I've never seen it grow. It's been crazy. This last couple years in particular, comic book community is growing at such a staggering rate, and it's all happening here on the internet. It's happening right here, like channels and because we can connect now. Never been able to do this before. So it's exciting because I felt really part of this community. And watching this, I felt like I was just watching something that every one of our community was watching. They were all experienced something at the same, maybe not at the same time, but we all experienced that same feeling. And I'm so pumped. I feel like this is just the start. we have so much more to see, and you know, I'm glad that we have the community to enjoy it with. I appreciate them for giving us their time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, I want to one last thing. We do have a giveaway for this video right here. It's Thanos Legacy #1 variant and some True Believers comics as well. So very cool. All you gotta do to enter for that giveaway is just leave a comment down below below the description of this video when this is posted, and just tell me what you thought of Avengers Endgame, and that's all you need to do, and you will be entered. I want to thank Tom and I want to thank Jeff, the Golden Age Guru, for taking time out of their day to sit here and talk about the Avengers Endgame. I appreciate it. Don't forget to go check out Comic Tom 101. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. Every now and then you can see my face show up on his channel as well. But check out Comic Tom 101. Also his mystery mail call. You want to sign up for that. I have links down below. And the Golden Age Guru, he's supposed to be doing some more YouTube stuff. I'm hoping he does, but he's always on Instagram. So check him out on Instagram. And really, that's about it, guys. I want to say thank you once again for joining me today.
Thanks, Bueller, for having us, man. It's been a great time.
Always fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody who joined us and who enjoyed the movie and sat here in the chat and watched us talk for, I don't know, it seems like 2 hours now about a 3-hour movie.
Gotta watch a good part of the movie.
Exactly. So thanks, everybody.
I got to say, before we end it, as soon as I watched the movie, I went back and I listened to like 7 different people talk about the movie. Yeah. I just had to. I just didn't get enough of the movie. I'm going to see it again. I'm probably going to watch it a 3rd time and a 4th time and again. But it's cool to be able to, you know, to get together and to chat about stuff that we, such cool stuff. So appreciate you guys. Yeah.
Had a great time. I want to say thanks everybody again. And you know what? If you haven't seen the movie yet, we just spoiled it all for you. But more than likely, you already saw it and you're probably going to go see it again because I know I am. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You guys know what to do. I'll see you next time.